Hello, how are you? You all know, right? In this video, what will I be doing? That's right, I'll be making 2 drawings in one video. So grab your art supplies and get ready to draw along because you know, I make my videos so that you can draw along with me. Today I'll be making a comparison of my Pixelart style and my normal art style. Because I feel like those two are slightly different. I mean, other than me drawing mostly one thing with my pixel art style, but that doesn't come to the case now, okay? It doesn't come to the case. Don't. But yeah. Now, why am I doing this? To compare, of course. What type of question even is that? Yes, I'm feeling a little bit silly today as well. We'll start off with my pixel art style first. As you can see here in the back, I'm making a little sketch of something. And as you know, every time, or well, most times at least, that I do pixel art, I draw Bimb Angel and Tree Man, aka Slender Man. I love that in my sketchbook tour series. I talk about my embarrassing creepypasta phase, but I never actually left it. Huh. I can't... Is it hypocrisy of me to judge myself and then doing things similar in a sense to my old self that I'm judging? I don't know. I wouldn't know. But yeah, I have 2 videos where I talk about how this story came to be. As you can see here in the back, yes, these 2 characters are part of a story that I'm developing. The first one of those videos is about how Bimb Angel came to existence in the first place. Because, you know, it's an odd story, okay? I won't go much into it. It's like embarrassing if I have to say so myself. It's just... I'm crazy. I don't know what's going on half the time, and I just come up with stuff, okay? And the second one is about how I made this story into what it is now overall, because at first it wasn't really a story, it was just me being silly. And then I stopped being silly after finding out the truth of reality in situations that have situations going on in certain situations. You know, that sort of stuff really gets complicated at some point, and then you have to stop. But what matters is that you stop and become a better version of yourself. And while the second one, it's a complicated story of how I came to be. It's quite long, I don't know. Just me thinking about stuff after seeing a picture of a merman shepherd dog with a sheep. Was that it? I think so. Just stuff. Basically, they're both characters from Those Dog Days, which is a slenderverse AU standing for alternate universe, where the being considered to be, in quotes, Slender Man is an actual tree, like an eldritch tree being that just walks around a tropical forest, and a bimbo, or himbo, or I don't know. They're non-binary, and I don't know the non-binary term for that, but you get the gist, where this bimbo tries to befriend this eldritch being. Now, I've made many drawings of them in the past. I actually have an entire Tumblr... I'm sorry, I just have to laugh. I have an entire... I can't say that seriously, okay? Look, the girl bloggers ruined Tumblr for me. I can't be serious about Tumblr anymore, but I have an entire blog dedicated to them, which is the only other place, besides YouTube that is, where I publish the drawings that I've made of them. But otherwise you can find their story, synopsis, in the first link of my Linktree, just like all my other stories, they're all in there. I have like a whole little card thing where I talk about my stories. So, now to the drawing, because we already went through the entire line art phase and I haven't said anything yet. I just kept blabbing, as I always do. I'm here to entertain you and let you draw along with me. So, pixel art to me is very comforting. It's low maintenance, very easy, relaxing, and the end result is always rewarding. It's just like very calming and just easy to do. I don't have to think much about it. The only really, in quotes again, complicated thing with pixel art is being very intentional, especially for the line art in itself. I do tend to just do my lines as I usually do, just like scribbling like you would, you know, like a normal drawing. And then I go in afterwards and fix up some pixels here and there, because sometimes things can end up looking a bit too thick in certain places or too thin in others, and that's not exactly what I want it to be. Since these are very small canvases so that you can see each pixel, you have to be very careful with each pixel, right? But other than that, it's very just calming and relaxing. I also use my silly chibi style for this. This being those dog days specifically. I have done pixel art in the past with my normal art style, which I guess I should have done in this case too if I wanted a better comparison. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to compare one and the other, and I wanted to draw those dog days again, okay? Are you going to judge me? You can judge me all you want. That won't stop me from drawing those dog days. But, I don't know. I just like the way that those dog days has this really silly and cute art style when the actual tone does not match the art style in itself. Because the story actually touches on some really heavy subjects, which contrasts greatly with the actual art style that it has. I don't know, I just like catching the nervous system by surprise. What can I say? For this drawing specifically though, I divided the canvas into two. I actually have another idea for this, that's why I divided it into two, okay? But I just have another idea, and I want to get to that, which actually this is something that you've been asking me for a while now, so I'll finally get to it. It'll be a surprise though. I won't give too much, but I'll give you a hint, and it has to do with move. Either way, I like both their characters of those two in the back there, Davinci and I don't know, the tree. They're just silly, okay? Davinci is just silly and just a little bit stupid, and I love that. And well, the tree is a tree. What do I have to say more about that? I also find it funny. Okay, when do I even talk about them? I rarely talk about them anywhere. But I find it funny how Davinci is the non-binary one, while the literal tree is a man somehow. I just love that little detail, okay? For the color palette, I always use a mix of desaturated turquoise and bright warm pinks for this story specifically. How did I even come up with that? I think it's because since I usually tend to use a very cool color palette in my usual drawings, you all know I like purple just a little bit. I usually keep my color palettes in that area, whether it be purple and red, usually, like I can't even deny it. Sometimes with a bit of yellow in there, sometimes orange or browns. But mostly like in that purple area. To not stray too much from that, I tend to use a desaturated turquoise in the case that I'm drawing any background with plants in general, or foliage, or plants, agriculture. So it really matches the color palettes that I'm already using, because other times I use a very desaturated yellow. That one also turns green with the palettes that I'm using, but the turquoise also works in the case that I'm using a cooler palette that replaces just this really intense green if I were to just go for the green in the color wheel. Just like color theory stuff, right? So I came to the conclusion that in this story I was going to go with that green in quotes that I always use, like this desaturated turquoise. And to like make Davinci stand out, obviously, I just went for a very warm light pink. And what I find really interesting that I was able to achieve with Davinci's character is this monochromatic palette, because every single color in quotes, again, man, I'm quoting a lot today. Every single part of Bimb Angel's design is actually the same hue, just with a different value. I just really appreciate that. For this drawing though, for this one, did I do it for this one or the other one? And I don't know. I do try to mix in some purple hints here and there in this story, but I guess you will see that more so with my normal art style drawing, more so than this one. The concept here is, I wanted something cinematic for Bimb Angel's view and something slightly surrealistic with the trees view. So I sort of did that with the angle here. That's why like you sort of have this weird vision looking sort of up at the tree and everything is just sort of curving inwards. Just to really push that slight surrealism there. And it adds a little bit tinge of horror or something. Overall though, I'm really happy with the result of this drawing. And I can't wait to do that other little thing I have planned for this, because I'm sure it will turn out really cute. So now, to my normal drawing. I'll be using this drawing that you can see in the back here that I made in my sketchbook as line art, because it turned out great and I feel like I should use it if I have it there, ready to use. Really cute, really clean. Why would I not use it, right? You might be like, oh, but Angel, that isn't your usual art style. Are you sure? One of my goals each year, looking back at it, because I'm remembering one of the videos that I made a while back, where I mentioned that one of my plans this year was to make an animatic each month. Because I'm insane and I thought that why would I ever think that was, I mean, possible it is, but I'm not in the right mind space to do that. I have so much stuff to do all the time. Either way, along with those goals that I had, every single year I have the same goal, which is to make more traditional drawings. And I never actually do that for some reason, except 2024, which I did quite a few, which that's cool. I love that. I love those drawings. Those drawings were great. Actually, I was doing some really great sketches that year too. I was doing some really great stuff that year. I should really push myself more for that, instead of pushing myself to do a bunch of finished full illustrations like I always do. That will also push me for those OC interactions that I want to do. Either way. So as you first saw me doing here, is that I fixed up the picture and I brightened it. I inverted it horizontally to see, oh, maybe I need to liquefy something, because usually I do need to liquefy something if I'm doing stuff with my traditional drawings here. This one, I didn't need to do that. It's surprising. I guess I drew this really well. This is a once in a monthly experience. Once in a month. This happens sometimes. Okay, so I then use a divide layer to brighten the entire picture, but then later on I will turn that layer off, and I won't delete it though, because I will use it differently later. So I just leave it there, hidden, and then I put down my base outline for the character's silhouette and use the bucket tool to fill it in, because I decided to use what I learned again from was it last video? I don't know when these videos go up, in what order. I don't know, I'm like a little bit ahead of my own schedule, so I don't really know what's going on half the time, okay? So I'm just trying my best to retain the information. Then I put down the actual base colors of my drawing, as you can see here somewhere. Did y'all know that Bimb Angel actually has cinnamon bun colored hair? I do my best to put it down with my Pixelart style, which is the usual art style that I use for Those Dog Days story. But I never actually know if it comes across or not, so if you got this far in the video, could you please let me know whether it comes across or not? Because I don't know, maybe I have to fix some stuff up with their design still in the Pixelart style. Who knows? But for this drawing specifically, the concept of it, I wanted a flashlight effect, so I really try and intensify the lighting closer to Bimb Angel and the trees closer to them. But since there is also a bit of moonlight, another in quotes there, coming from behind, we'll have some backlighting too, but that's very minimal. I try my best in this case to keep my rendering, both are the same thing. To keep my rendering simple and clean this time around, because everything was working really well this time, so I just didn't want to make it too messy. I guess that's what happens. I don't know how to speak. That's what happens when everything was done in a very intentional manner. It's funny how everything works out when you use your brain, unlike my speech, that one never turns out right. So, to do the flashlight effect, I add a very dark airbrush, shadow around the Bimb Angel and just the trees overall as well, and like I add a little gradient coming from down to up in the back there, since there are like some trees in the distance. There's like a sort of clearing there, just like sort of trying to make everything blend in together and have a good gradient. And to Slender I add just a little bit too, just to like make him fit in more with the thing, but like he's more so in the shadows. Then I add sharp shadows with a multiply layer on top as well, but I completely cover Bimb Angel and then use the lasso tool to carve out where the light would hit and erase that. For that you would need to understand what? That's right, 3D stuff, perspective, just the shape of objects, I guess. But yeah. Then I also lock the sharp shadow layer that we just did there with the carving of the lasso tool and eraser. I airbrush a darker color again, further away from where the light hits them to really push the shadows more. And then I add an overlay layer. Just to add more lighting intensity. And later on I'll add another one to add more textures with different colors, because you all know, as always, I'm a texture freak. And to render in some details, I just paint them in by color picking. Look, it's just easier than to try and figure out layer modes, okay? Later on, you will actually see me suffer with layer modes trying to fix the values of the drawing, because I just couldn't set. What is going on? It's like everything is going well. Then my tongue just decides, why do I need to speak? I would never. Either way, where was I? Overlay layer, fixing values, rendering. Oh yeah, color theory. To keep my colors flowing between the pink of Bimb Angel, if you look at the color wheel there, and the dark turquoise of the background, I just sort of go in between those to really keep myself limited to that palette so that I don't leave it and just do something crazy in there, even though I could, obviously, but that's not what I was going for in this case. So I limit myself to that area specifically, also limiting myself to sort of the same, how do I say it? The triangle there that has the values and whatnot, I sort of keep myself in that same area going down to up. Sometimes I saturate it more, sometimes I don't, that depends on the case. Okay, and for the background, I decided to make my life easier again, just like I did with the coloring my comics, yeah, where I colored my comics and I used my foliage brushes to add that shadow. I decided to make my life easier again, and I used my foliage brushes once again to add some more detail to the trees in the back, make it get hit by the moonlight there, I don't know, just so that it looks better, I guess. I should have blurred that. Should I have blurred that? Blurring that part out would have made the entire thing have a more intense effect of depth. Just make it more realistic, okay? But that's fine. And then I just do some little, I don't know, detailing here and there to the tree barks, make them get hit by moonlight, intensify the lighting. Then I flatten the whole image. I start fixing the values, making the darks darker, the brights brighter, making it, I think, a little bit less saturated than normal. And then I decide to use that divide layer on top, and I just like keep copy and pasting the whole illustration. and just merging things and lowering the opacity, and just I was trying really hard to get something that I liked, because I really liked the way that the divide layer slightly changed the colors of the actual finished drawing. So I wanted to sort of keep that, but I didn't want it to brighten the shadows too much as well, to like keep that effect still. And I hope that that worked out, I guess. I don't know. Overall, I'm happy with my two results, and I honestly find it surprising that you can still feel the essence of both drawings in each other, because they're different art styles, of course. One is very silly and chibi-fied and just cute and whatever. The other is not chibi-fied but still cute and whatever. I don't know, I like that Those Dog Days has its own essence in it. It just makes me happy. Overall, I'm happy with the result. I should actually draw more Those Dog Days stuff with my usual art style. That would be really cool. Will I though? We'll see about that. I have a lot of stuff in my list that I want to draw, that I keep mentioning in my videos, and then I forget and I never draw. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a nice day and night, and I hope see you next time. Always very hopeful, Angel Kill here. Bye!